Welcome back to Morning Glory. I'm Mike Brown, 24 minutes past 6. Some great stories to get our teeth into this morning. Bob Seeley's here, former MP for the Isle of Wight, of course, now reinvented as a pundit, a man with some very interesting thoughts and views, which we're going to get into. Ed Southgate from The Sun gets a herogram from the Morning Glory this morning. He's going to be on the show later. He was over in Calais, basically, yesterday. And in The Sun, there's two spreads, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 4 pages of Britain's broken borders, is what The Sun's campaign is calling it. French authorities left migrants in a dinghy floating in the channel and told them the UK will see you in an hour, basically. And what they're saying is that officials stopped the boat packed with 100 people, removed around 24 of them to keep it afloat, and then told them to wait for the British Coast Guard and Border Force crews to arrive and escort them to the UK where they could claim asylum. So, I mean, this is literally off the coast of Calais, Bob. They're not even having to get into English and British waters before they're basically being told, don't worry, you'll be rescued by Britain.
I don't know what to say about this because I just despair of it. And the problem is that in the United States, they elected a government to take their country in a different direction.
Yeah.
We elected a government to double down on the worst aspects of everything that we've got wrong in the last 20 years. And so if we want to see change, this is not going to change for another 3 years.
No.
And I just wonder how many more tens of thousands of illegals are just going to, criminals, a lot of them, are just going to buy their way through organised crime onto this country, how much less safe our streets are going to be for women and children. I just despair of it. And, you know, probably by this summer, when the crisis gets so bad, I suspect the Labour Party will start looking for a Rwanda option. I know they're talking about it now, but they might actually seriously start doing it this summer. You know, great, but it's a year too late, and they should have gone with the Rwanda option because it looked like it was having some effect. But if you're asking me why you can come to this country illegally, not get arrested, not get slung in prison, and not get sent back, I do not know.
I know.
I mean, I would love somebody to explain it to me, some wise lawyer who says, lawyer/straight politician, to say this is the reason. I'd love to know.
Well, there's lots of really good pieces of video coming out of the US at the moment, and we've got a clip here from Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, talking about people who go actually legally to America, but who then commit crime. Here's the way America treats them.
If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors.
And that's perfectly sensible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's basically talking about hard-left activists that end up at Ivy League universities and spend their time
promoting Hamas and Palestine.
Doing borderline anti-Semitic stuff. Or it might be not very borderline, it might be very obviously anti-Semitic. I think that's, you know, actually throwing people out who are responsible for that, not for having opinions or strong opinions, but actually for overstepping that mark and doing absolutely.
And trying to undermine democracy, in other words.
But I mean,
but they also say very clearly, and Caroline Leavitt has said this, the great White House press secretary, you know, if you are an illegal migrant, if you come to my country illegally, you've already committed a criminal offence.
I know,
you're already a criminal. We're kicking you out.
Why
can't we do that?
This is what I don't understand. I think we should be actively seeking to deport people who are here illegally.
Yeah.
This should not be some kind of sort of risque statement.
Right.
It should be a statement of the obvious. Frankly, I would go a little bit further, and I think people who've been here, you know, recent arrivals who may be here legally, if they're committing crimes, I think we should be actively seeking to deport people who are no longer playing by the rules.
Yes.
And when it comes to welfare, absolutely cutting back massively on people who should not be claiming. If you've come here on a visa, you should not be claiming from welfare in this country.
And we know that
and Kemi, to her credit, is starting to do this. I think we need to continue that process, and we need, until we've got this watertight, people aren't going to trust us on this issue. I get that, and I think I hope that in the next year, Kemi is going to get us into a position where all this stuff, some of this stuff is policy already, but this becomes policy. But the moment we get in, we have got to deal with this human rights idiocy that stops us governing effectively.
Yes.
And we have got to start saying, if you're here illegally, get out. If you're here on,
and don't come illegally because you won't be allowed in. That's the other thing.
Yeah, if you're here on a delivery visa because you've been to some dodgy university, but in fact you're only here to sort of, be a delivery driver and then see how long you can stay, hasta la vista.
Well, did you see that story in the Sunday Times last Sunday about this ridiculous sort of education loophole?
Scam.
Where
it's a scam.
It's a scam where you set up the Oxford Business School, which is loosely affiliated to Oxford University.
Well, it's in Oxford. That's the affiliation.
It's in Oxford. That's it. Except that when people apply to do the course there, they get money from the government. The money goes to Oxford University as well, and then they claim for a living allowance and a maintenance grant, and then they never turn up.
Yeah, and so there is a sizable chunk of Romanians here.
Yeah.
And, a lot of them are here legally, they do work, etc., etc. But there's a sizable chunk of Romanians here who just, effectively, this is just a really good scam, and they're taking our money.
Right, it's ridiculous. According to Ed Southgate, he says he walks along the northern border of Gravelines in France. He says he finds all sorts of debris from refugee crossings: a trainer, a grey beanie, a puffer jacket, trousers, a cheap Chinese-made life jacket. He basically says you walk around and you just, everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there is evidence of illegal crossings being not only organised and helped along by
and then these people
illegal
tear up their
traffickers,
documents.
but also and they said we do migrant of the day here. We get people. We had a guy this week who couldn't be sent back and deported because he'd lost his documents.
Is this the alcoholic paedophile from Pakistan?
No, that's a different one. Okay. There's all sorts. This guy I think is Iraqi.
Who are these judges? I know.
But this guy says he's lost his phone.
Does the Kremlin employ them
ID.
to really sort of discredit our system?
Well, the most recent one I think is funnily enough is a Romanian I think who was about to be sent home, but it was said that his daughter is not old enough to receive video calls, so he can't be deported. He has to be allowed to stay here. Absolutely unbelievable.
It's shocking. But again, this is human rights stuff. It's ECHR. But, getting rid of ECHR, we also need to get rid of the stuff that's embedded in our laws. So the Equality Act and the Human Rights Act, none of which actually strengthen your rights, my rights, the rights of everyone listening. But all they do is allow horrible left-wing lawyers, like the people running our country, to game the system.
Yeah, absolutely right. The guy I'm talking about is a cocaine dealer from Kosovo, as it turns out. He's been spared deportation after a court ruled that his daughter was too young to keep in contact with him through modern technology such as video
calls. So he's
an
organised crime. He's basically a low-level
12 criminal convictions. He's won an appeal to remain in Britain because it was found deporting him would be unduly harsh on his one-year-old child.
Who the hell is the lawyer, the judge, that agrees this garbage?
I know, it is
absolutely disgraceful.
Absolutely incredible.
We've got 3 more years of it. This is a problem. Okay, I get why people were fed up with us.
Yeah.
We've actually got a government that's dumping the good stuff that we were doing and is now doubling down on just the worst aspects of the elite blob opinions. And it's just terrible.
It is incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. It's gaff-prone Friday, of course, as well, so we've got a gaff for you as well. But just before we do that, the other picture that's interesting is in the Telegraph today, a picture of a load of guys clambering on top of a dinghy about to head off to Dover, and a load of women. They're all men in the dinghy. The women are standing on the shore or sort of waist deep in the shallows, not getting on the boat, leaving the women behind. I mean, this is what is the reality of what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's vile. It's vile, and I don't understand why we don't stop it or can't stop it. And I'm sure that Yvette Cooper. I'm sure Yvette Cooper will come out with some. We're smashing the gangs like hell.
No, she's not.
It is absolutely dishonest.
Yeah.
Yet another lie.
Yeah, unfortunately so. This is the first gaff of the day. It's Kevin O'Sullivan, of course. Check it out.
Small cotton ships in Cambridge, 12.50. We've got 2 voice notes. Can you hear this? We'll have a go. Janice in Leeds, go.
Regarding fish and chips in Leeds, it's between £9.50 and £12.75, depending where you're going. So it's not the cheapest anymore.
We'll go to Jason in Crewe.
Jason from Crewe. Fish, chips and peas, £7.50. And it's the best chippy in England.
You look confused.
Why do I look confused?
Well, because I'm going to ask you, when was the last time you had fish and chips?
Couple of weeks ago.
How much? Where'd you get it from?
I think it was about 40 quid because it was in the Ivy.
Honestly, you really are. For any of you who think he's a man of the people, I nearly said you're a...
Keeping it real.
I mean, that tells you, part of the Metropolitan elite, Kevin O'Sullivan, lives in Hampstead, spends 40 quid on fish and chips.
No, that's bad. I will give a shout-out for a fantastically good chippy in the west of the Isle of Wight.
I'm told the Isle of Wight's got great chippies.
It's got some.
Yeah.
It's got some. The best chippy is the blue crab in Yarmouth, and it's actually very reasonable. I've just got their menu up now, because I might well go there this evening, or certainly over the weekend.
Yes.
Large cod, $8.20.
That's good.
Portion of chips, it feeds 3.
Wow.
So, and it is just, the batter is just super well cooked. And the size of the cod is unbelievable. Because if you go to you get really bad fish and chips, like the batter's...
It's tiny, and there's a lot of space.
Thick as your fist.
A lot of space between the batter and the fish.
And the amount of fish is like, it's a little bit of, I don't know, looks like smoked salmon because it's so thin.
Yeah.
But the blue crab, the fish there is unbelievable.
Wow.
Just chunks of
Brilliant.
it.
Sounds fantastic.
And the
You're making
great
me
great
hungry.
chips.
Making me hungry
Well,
already.
Come and visit.
I will.
We'll
I love the
Blue
Isle
Crab.
of Wight. I really do. I used to go. When the kids were younger, we used to go there all the time because I loved the trip on the ferry. We could take the dog. You know, we used to stay in a place in Ventnor, which was lovely. But anyway,
Ventnor, to its credit, has got one of the best wine hotels.
Okay.
Fantastic wine hotel in Ventnor.
it's got that great pub on the sort of end of the beach.
Not Spycatcher. What's it called? Spyglass.
Spyglass, that's it. Yeah. Where you can watch the
Spycatcher, sorry,
waves.
that's
Well, it's a bit of a giveaway. Sorry. Oh, Freudian slip from Bob. What are you doing now? Nothing. Anyway.